Hello everybody, here we are today talking about what will happen if the Colorado Avalanche don't win another Stanley Cup in this era and what their legacies will be. So before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So we do have to kick off this video by saying the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup in 2022 and are a team that's been able to make the playoffs in 7 straight seasons. So they've not been a team that's just been a one and done. They've been there and done that and been one of the better teams in the league. But I did want to look at this and kind of see some of the good that they've done over the years and then kind of hone in on some possibly bad things in the future where Avs fans would say this is not what we wanted. So let's get on into that. And also we'll throw out the fact that Colorado could go out there and win another championship, if not multiple more, because it's sports and you never know what's going to happen. But when we're looking at the good, obviously this team has seen a lot of good over the years. Not even just the fact that they were able to win it all one time. What were some of the things that they were able to do? They were able to advance into the second round on 5 occasions. They won the division 3 times and then won the President's Trophy on 1 occasion as well, as they've been a team that's been consistently really good. Not just good, but great in terms of most of the other teams in the league. And what exactly are we seeing with this team? We're seeing a team that is consistently amazing. We're seeing a team that is up there competing for the division, if not winning it outright. We're seeing a team that is being one of the best teams in the league in the hunt for that, if not the very best, like they proved in 2022. They have had some years that franchises that are, down on their luck could just envy, and they've had multiple years in a row of that. It's not just like, oh, we had one great year and it's done. They have been just amazing for a bit now. But now we get into the darker side a little bit, and while they have been a team that's been able to consistently avoid being a first-round exit, they've not been a team that's been able to go on a lot of deep runs. In fact, they've only had one truly deep run, as out of the 5 times they made it out of the first round, they only advanced one time back in 2022, and that is just kind of what's been highlighted for the Avs at this moment. They have been a team that's been able to get over the mountain and be at the top of the mountain, if you will, in the NHL. But you're wondering exactly what's going to happen here if things continue where they falter in the playoffs, as they haven't been able to get out of the second round since then. And obviously there were some problems before that. So looking at this, I do want to throw out the fact that right away there are some things that are defending them a little bit. Not just the fact that they've been able to win the Cup on 1 occasion, but the fact they've been able to play at a 50-plus win pace for 4 seasons in a row. Kind of illustrates what they've been able to do, while also looking at the playoffs, and you realize they have 3 Game 7 losses in this run. And I know you could argue, well, that could be looked at in a bad way because they weren't able to get the job done. I also look at it in another light as well, as you see that 2 of those were in the second round, so they were on the verge of quite possibly being a team that was able to make it to the conference final on 3 occasions and could have gone on to the Stanley Cup final in that run as well too. Who's to say they don't go on and win in Game 7 both of those years and then win the Stanley Cup on 3 occasions? I know that's more of a hypothetical, but they've been right there. Just kind of one of those deals where it didn't work out in their favor. And then they've had some things that have been out of their control. Looking at the fact that Gabriel Landeskog has not played 2 years in a row, thanks to injuries and rehabilitation and surgeries and all of those things, as well as Valeri Nichushkin having some issues off the ice. And I do want Valeri to be in a good spot mentally off the ice and just be in a place where he is going to be all right as a person. But I can't hide the fact that it is something that's come back to bite Colorado both times in the playoffs, as they lose him come crunch time when they're playing some of the best teams in the world. And they want to be able to, again, reclaim their status as the league's best team. But these are just been some things that they've not been able to control. But again, every team in the league is going to have some things they're not going to be able to control fully. And I think one of the things that's kind of weird when you look back at all this is you realize that if the Avs wouldn't have gone on a run in 2022, Jared Bednar very well could have got fired. I know that seems kind of controversial looking back at it now because they've been a great team for, really 4 or 5 years in a row, and they were able to have an upset in the playoffs a little bit before that. But if he had not been able to do that, he would have been the guy that was in charge of a really good team that was never able to punch through deep into the playoffs. And that's something weird to look back at. Thankfully for him, of course, they're able to buy him a little bit more time. But you're kind of wondering, as this team is looking at what they've done in recent years, and they still view themselves as a title contender, could he be a coach that's on the hot seat? I just did a video about 4 coaches that I thought were on the hot seat. And looking at his name, I think if they got bounced in the first round again, you kind of wonder a little bit about what would happen to him there. And I do think that, again, with being on a team that has high expectations, when you don't get those big results, bad things tend to happen. So why am I bringing up all this stuff? Why am I being a negative Nelly about Colorado when their future is still very bright, at least in the short term? It's because I do want to look at this and see what could happen. I think guys, especially like Nathan MacKinnon, could have their legacies hindered a little bit. They're still going to be viewed as an amazing player with a lot of individual achievements, but people are going to be looking at him and saying, we wish we could have seen more in terms of team success. And I do think that if they aren't able to get at least another conference final run, they will be viewed as a very talented team that was only ever able to get the job done on one occasion, while the rest of the time they were kind of a playoff dud, which is a little bit weird when you consider the fact that this team has been 4 out of the past 5 seasons, the team that had the highest goals for per 60 come playoff time. They've been able to score a lot of goals. They've been able to just bury teams come playoff time in multiple rounds, but they are stuck in a spot right now where in the coming years, next 2 or 3 years, Avs fans could be saying, was this the peak and we didn't even know it was coming? And we do know this team can go out there and put on a show, but in terms of putting on a show, you also want to be able to go out there and compete for trophies, something that Colorado hasn't really been able to do in the past 2 years as they got knocked out in the first round and the second round. Mind you, again, they were able to play a good team this year in the playoffs, but I am keeping an eye out for this a little bit because Colorado is in a spot where they look really, really good and they've been able to achieve a lot out of this. But I think I'm more looking at the long-term future and seeing how maybe some younger people will view them as they're going to be focused on some of these things because they might not be in the know, because I'm sure a lot of people aren't as aware of some teams in the 70s that were pretty good teams that weren't able to get to win multiple championships, and just look at them as a team that, oh, they won one championship in, a 10-year span where they were really good. But I do see this Colorado team as a team that's been historically good at some points. Maybe not up there with like a top 3 team in NHL history, but they've had some amazing years, and I don't want to discredit what they've done. Winning multiple division titles is insane. Winning the President's Trophy is insane. Winning the championship is insane. But I do want to see what's going to come of this team, especially probably in the next 2 years. And also to close this one out, do I think this team is going to be a side that falls off the cliff next season? No, I expect them to be relatively competitive, even though they are dealing again with some of the cap crunch, and that is just the way it goes in the NHL, as the 2022 roster ended up getting poached in free agency with a lot of their players. And I hate it because I want to find a middle ground in the NHL where you can try to reward teams that are able to be competitive by, drafting well and trading well and keeping guys, but also not just having it to where the teams are able to spend the most money or able to be competitive. So I'm not exactly sure how I feel on that. One of these days we're going to do a video where I just go on a full-blown rant about the salary cap and trying to find the sweet spot in terms of all that, because again, we've seen like teams like Colorado and teams like Tampa Bay that are really good and have been able to make some good moves are being hurt by the cap as they try to make themselves maintain being competitive, but also aware they can't keep everybody. And I think that's what's hard, is you get in a spot where you kind of gamble the future. Tampa Bay has made some really unseasonable or unwise decisions in recent years as they try to gamble on the short term and trying to maintain being competitive. And I want to see if Colorado follows that blueprint in the next few years, or that path, if you will. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Colorado if they never go on to win another championship? Do you think guys like Makar, Rantanen, do you think guys like Landeskog and guys like McKinnon will be viewed in a different light? Do you think this team will be seen kind of in an unfavorable light where people won't consider them a team of the decade, if you will? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And Eagle of Hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.